Hello and welcome to Out of Spec Reviews. You join me inside of the 2020 Volkswagen Atlas with the 4-cylinder. And the reason we're inside and not outside is we are in Michigan in basically the winter. It's snowing outside. Canada is right across the water behind us. We're on Bel Air Island, I think, something like this. And we're here to find out if 3-row big SUVs should have 4-cylinder engines. So let's talk about that. This is going to be just a little quick video. We only have the Atlas for literally a few hours today just because we were in town to shoot the Volkswagen ID4. Volkswagen was nice enough to lend us this car to get to and from the airport. We're just going to let some cars go by and we'll pull out here. And one of the things I was very excited to find out was this Atlas had the turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder motor that is in every Volkswagen Audi Group product, from Macan to Volkswagen GTI, Golf GTI, and this one's, you know, the big 3-row SUV. This is the largest car in the Volkswagen branded lineup. So why would you put the smallest engine in the biggest car? And does it work? And we've seen a trend to this. I mean, if you're anyone but FCA, if you're not Dodge putting a Hellcat motor in a giant Durango, then you're seeing 4-cylinders go into these bigger cars. So this is the first big SUV I've driven with one of these small engines. And we're going to find out, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And we're just going to go for a drive. So let's do that. And I wish we had time to take you around the Atlas before we get into this, but it's really cold outside, obviously. The wind is crazy, so you wouldn't hear me anyway. And it's a great looking car. It's a practical 3-row SUV. It's a Volkswagen. Everything's screwed together really nice. The interior fit and finish is as expected. And there are a million reviews on the Atlas, so we don't need to repeat it. If you really want to know about the car, go watch one of those. But if you want to talk about this big car, small engine thing, that's what we're here for. And I thought that was kind of an interesting conversation to have while we had this car. So, one of the things you have with a larger naturally aspirated engine, let's say you have a 5.3 liter V8 like a Suburban, or you have a 3-liter V6 like it's in FCA products that's not a Hellcat, which I don't know if they make anything that's not a Hellcat anymore. Or you have a turbocharged, actually let's just stick with those. Let's say you have the big naturally aspirated engine. You tend to get a little bit of torque down low, and then they rev, and you get a lot of mid-range in the way that those are tuned, and they feel trucky. They have a lot of internal gusto and guts to really get you up to speed. And my fear with the 4-cylinder in something this big, like a turbocharged 4-cylinder, is 1, the engine's just going to sit and boost all the time. 2, is it going to actually have enough power to move the thing? And then, is it going to sound right? Because so much of driving a car is an auditory experience. You know, even to the general consumer who doesn't care what it sounds like, it's got to sound right. And in America, at least, we're so used to having Suburbans, Tahoes, GMC Yukons all have, you know, V8s, and that's the soundtrack that goes around with an SUV. And does it feel less premium and tinny to have a 4-cylinder engine? So we're in this German SUV Volkswagen Atlas 2-liter. It's the SE without technology, so it's actually a very entry-level spec model that we have here. It's not the S, but it's the one up. It's got LED headlights, really nice, but it has the 2-liter turbocharged engine. It has 238 horsepower, I believe, and somewhere in that mid 200 pound-feet of torque. On paper, it seems to have plenty, but what's it like in reality? And what we're going to do is we're going to get off this island. We're going to say bye to Canada over there, and we are going to go over there on the highway to Detroit. Take a look. And right on the other side of this building is Detroit City, Motor City, the home of the V8. And we're driving the 4-cylinder Volkswagen right over to Detroit. Let's see how it goes. Is it going to be on premium? We'll see if it's a good combination, or if you should consider getting one of the larger naturally aspirated motors in something of this size. So we're driving around this island now. We are going to get on the highway and test some of this stuff, but let's see what it's like at low speed. So typically when you're driving a V8 powered car at low speed, you get a little grumble, you hear it, but in this turbo 4-cylinder, there's no noise coming into the Atlas. There's a big variance here, a noise barrier, I should say, between the engine noise and the cabin noise. And is that a bad thing? No, that's actually kind of premium, actually. The throttle calibration in this particular one at low speed is really nice. It's very precise to get your speed down. The revs are sitting at 1100 RPM, but the engine isn't shaking away. You know, older 4-cylinder engines that, you know, used to, from when I'm growing up, for example, if you run them at low RPM, they shake and they're out of balance. This is really nice and comfortable. There's no vibrations traveling through. So right off the bat, it's kind of like, that's nice around town. I wasn't expecting how smooth it was. The start-stop system in this car, for example, when you come to a start-stop, that's the button for it. I'm trying to find, here it is. When you click this, you can turn the system off, but there's no reason to, because you don't even feel it kick on and off. It's such a little tiny engine for a big car. When it torques over, the thing doesn't shake. There's no vibration. And so cruising around at below 40 miles per hour, there's no downside to having this car here. You know, with the 4-cylinder, it's doing it just fine. Again, sitting at 1300 RPM, getting pretty good fuel economy. But do you actually get better fuel economy on the highway? I wish we had a V6 one of these to test. If you'd like to see us do a fuel economy test between the same car with the small engine and the big engine, let us know, because I would argue, especially at high altitude in Colorado where we live, the turbo engine's going to be in boost all the time, sucking down the fuel. So that's something we should definitely talk about. And so here we're approaching a stoplight in the Atlas. We're going to come to a stop and we're going to see auto start stop go here. And one of the benefits off the bat of the 4-cylinder is when it shuts off and kicks back on, you do not feel it. You don't barely even hear the starter motor kick over. So unlike a little economy hatchback, when the 4-cylinder kicks over, it doesn't shake the car. Take a watch here. This car is about to move in front of us and we're going to lift off the brakes. Literally don't feel anything. We move. There's no perception that the engine's turning on other than a faint noise and the gauge cluster coming up. So that is a win for the 4-cylinder. In town, you're out of boost. It's able to shut off at stoplights and it doesn't actually annoy the driver, because typically with auto start stop, I'm the first one to turn it off. I'm just like, just sit there and idle. I don't want to hear that thing going. That poor starter motor's constantly working. But in this, does it really care? Probably not. So win for the 4-cylinder there, I would say. But I really want to get another one of these to review. Let's just see how it is with acceleration and cruising on the highway, and then my final thoughts as to whether or not you should choose one of these big SUVs with little engine. And we're going by General Motors headquarters right here in Motor City. This is one of the big three, as they say: Ford, GM, and Chrysler, now FCA. And yeah, pretty cool to be right by the General Motors building. Nice. Should we do the most American thing and do a traffic light drag race in the 4-cylinder German vehicle? I think so. I think we're going to put it into sport mode here. We're going to knock the shifter. Oh, it's already gone automatically into S mode for us. We're going to turn off auto start stop. And we're going to do just a little launch, I think. No one's really around that's going to care, I don't think. There's a Crown Vic parked over there, but let's just see how it gets off the line, more or less. And we'll see if the 4-cylinder fits in Motor City V8 territory right here. So a little left foot on the brake action. We'll build up the revs, just get a little boost. That's the thing with a 4-cylinder. You can launch them hard with turbos because they have all that boost that you can build into them. And we'll see if it actually moves pretty good. Here we go, brake boost, and off we go. Yeah. Moves great. That's up to about 40, 45 miles an hour. We just blew the doors off that Hummer over there. That was good. So performance, what are you missing out on? I don't know who needs to go faster in their Volkswagen Atlas than that. That was pretty good. We'll slow down to about 30 miles an hour, maybe 25, and we're just going to floor it. And floor it, 23 miles an hour. We're already up to speed. So, like, do you need any more than that? I'm not really sure. I think we'll go south here, take a look towards Toledo, and yeah, so plenty of acceleration to get up to speed. I think the last test for me, really, and again, this is kind of just seeing what it does, is it going to sit in boost when we're cruising at 70, 75 miles per hour? And if the answer is yes, then it's not going to be getting good fuel economy. Now, how will I know if it's sitting in boost? I don't actually have a boost gauge here, but you can feel when the engine's in boost. When you floor it, you can feel it boost up, and you can feel a little bit of stress on it. So let's just see. We got a merge up to speed here. Turbos are going, obviously. And here we go, bringing up the speed. We're going to back off. Didn't even have to floor it, just rolled into it gently. We're doing 72 miles an hour. Car's ticking 2,000 RPM. We're going a little bit uphill. We're actually increasing speed. Doesn't have to downshift. I felt it boost up there for a half a second, but now it's just cruising. I'm off throttle. And so, based off of this short preliminary drive and the time that I've been driving this car over the last few hours, day, I do not see any reason whatsoever as to why you would need the V6. The noise from this sounds okay. It's not great, but neither is the Volkswagen V6 engine. It's not amazing, at least in stock form. So why spend the more money? I'm not sure. This should yield better fuel economy based off of the fact that it's not in boost cruising on the highway. It's plenty fast. You don't need to go any quicker. It's actually I've been going out of my way to floor it, but you don't need to. And it sounds okay. And plus, with the turbocharger, you get such a much broader rev band. This thing makes full torque, pretty much from 1,500 RPM all the way up. You don't have to wait for the engine to be spinning at the right speed to get maximum power. This, you can just roll into it. See, it just dropped a gear, and now it's accelerating really nicely at low RPM. It's even a little bit more premium than having the V6. So, small engine, big car, does it make sense? Well, I think at least if you're just cruising around normally on highway stuff, sure, why not? Maybe if you're towing and it's going to be in load the whole time, that might be a case where you'd want the larger naturally aspirated motor. Probably less to go wrong with maintenance down the road. But if you're just cruising around normally, like taking your kids to school or doing whatever SUV owners do, yeah, small engine, big SUV makes sense for me.